Joining me today on our current affairs show is Dr. Ankita Dattaji, who has been a frequent guest on our channel. And for those who are not aware, she is an assistant professor of Northeastern Studies in Center for Indic Studies at the Indus University. Welcome, Ankita ji, and thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you so much, Pujita ji. Namaste, and it's always a pleasure to be back at Chitti Media. Thank you so much. Looking forward for the conversation.
I know, me too. Let's start talking about Ram Mandir because it is so topical and it is such a wonderful occasion. It's kind of like the whole country is in a state of excitement over something that I think generations of people have been waiting for. So,
Right.
what are your thoughts?
Yes, a good question to begin with. The Ram Mandir represents the essence of duty and responsibility for every Hindu. Shri Krishna is the Purna Avatar. Sri Ram, whereas, is the Maryada Purushottam, the one who epitomizes Dharma, the one who never shied away from his duties. That is, you have to carry out your responsibilities first, no matter what may come your way, because when you do that, your rights will be naturally conferred upon you. You will not need anyone to give you your rights when you have that sense of responsibility in you. Also, in order to make a society sustainable in the long run, we have to be aware of our responsibilities towards ourselves, towards our guru, towards our family, our children, our environment. Now, Bhagwan Sri Ram, when he went to Vanavas, although he was living there, although he was living in the Van, but he was still the prince of Ayodhya. So his duty was to safeguard and protect the Adhikara Kshetra of Raja Bharat as the representative of the king. And he does that. How? By fighting against the Asuras and the Rakshasas. So Bhagwan Ram goes to the Van with an acute sense of duty, Putra Dharma, towards his father Dashrath, towards the promise that Dashrath made to Kaikeyi. Mata Sita also goes to the Van along with her husband, following her dharma as a dutiful wife. Sri Ram's younger brother, Lakshman, as well, follows the footsteps of his elder brother, embodying a sense of seva. Now, what is, when we are talking about the Ram Mandir, what is the core essence of the Ramayan? It is Tyag. If we see, because you see, Ram is sacrificing everything. He's sacrificing the luxury of the palace and the kingdom for the sake of his dharma. Mata Sita is doing Tyag for fulfilling her Stri Dharma. Lakshman again is following the duty of being a responsible brother. Bharat as well, being the next in line after Sri Ram, Bharat has to take care of the praja in the absence of Ram. Although unwillingly, he does that. So Bhagwan Ram represents the righteous way, which is the best way, which is the ideal way that is to be followed by all in the society. And this way is not easy, as the life of Sri Ram proves it. The duty of the Vanavas does not allow Ram to call the army of his kingdom for rescuing his wife. And in this process of carrying out his responsibilities, he saves the entire Shishti from Ravan. And everyone from the devatas to the pashus help him. So when you follow the righteous path, everybody will come along with you eventually, despite all obstacles. Hanumanji, again, if we see, he is the he is the palan karta of bhakti marg, towards his prabhu, his isht devta, that is Sri Ram. So Sri Ram is the ideal man under all circumstances and the ideal society. The ideal kingdom over which he rules is the Ram Rajya, an inclusive society which is based upon the sense of responsibility rather than rights, because one person's responsibility is another person's right, for that matter. And when you ask me about the Sri Ram Mandir, it it represents the civilizational triumph of our cultural ethos that celebrates Ram, the one who personifies dharma. At the political level, this temple unites Bharat. From the north to the south, from the west to the east, because nobody at this point of time in history can deny that Sri Ram belongs to everyone. It is also the triumph of Satya. It is the triumph of the will of the Hindu civilization to keep on manifesting itself again and again, because we believe in the concept of time as circular. Nothing is permanent. So, even if we have to fight it for 500 odd years, we have done it and we will do it. We will not compromise with what is and what should be our due, because what is true is true. So, by breaking that mold, the Hindu civilization has triumphed over all odds. So, it is about following the righteous path. As Sri Krishna tells Arjun in the Mahabharata, that in the way of your dharma, even if your own brother, even if your own grandfather comes, you kill them, because that is the only way to establish dharma. So, being the followers of Bhagwan Sri Ram, it is now our civilizational, our cultural, and individual duty to keep this flame alive, to keep the cultural ethos of this beautiful civilization alive. And the Ram temple symbolizes the celebration of these ethos in our country. And I do not mind when saying this, that we would have forever remained emasculated had we not been able to reclaim his Janmasthan. Uh, because the Ram Mandir is not just the construction of a building, it is the re-establishment at a societal level of the Indian value system, of the civilizational ethos of Hindu dharma. And at the cultural level, it is the finest example of a successful cultural resistance by the Hindus against the foreign invaders, that even if it takes time, you have to fight it out, as I said. And this persistence that has been shown by the Hindu society, this is definitely going to re-energize us at a significant level, because that means we can fight, and we can not just fight, we can also win. And not just with brute force, but with whatever available resources, whatever available legal structure we had, we fought it physically, we fought it legally and culturally, with dharma on our side. So in a way, the Ram Mandir proves the siddhant of karma yoga as preached by Sri Krishna to Arjun in the Mahabharata, that keep on fighting without thinking about the results, reassuring the Hindus that just keep treading the path of dharma, because the result will always be dharmyukt, even if it comes a little later. So the struggle may take a long time, but it will triumph. It is the finest example of modern history. About all the battles that we have learned in our history textbooks, we have only been taught about our defeat. And even if it talks about those battles which we have won, the leftist narrative has always tried to paint it as cooked up stories. And you can be just be shut down for that. But how can you deny the Ram Mandir? The Ram Mandir is the example of sheer dedication for this cause by those thousands and thousands of people who got killed, the Kothari
Yes.
brothers and all others who
Oh,
sacrificed
so
their
many,
lives.
so many.
Yes.
Yes.
and
And
and for what they did it for the upcoming generations, because they knew
yes.
that somebody will finish this task, and finally the baton of dharma will be passed on to the next generation. And this was what they were supposed to do, being a warrior, being a kshatriya. This was what Arjun did, this was what Sri Ram did, and this is what every Hindu should be doing. And the Ram Mandir itself is the best example that our civilizational values are superior to anyone else. We do not, because we do not impose ourselves on other people. We fight it out according to the principles of dharma.
Of them. Yes.
I think I've taken a lot of time for that. I'm sorry.
That's fine. But you spoke passionately about something that I think is very. I'm sure you very beautifully, aptly, and passionately put in words what a lot of people may not be able to articulate, encapsulating the exact sentiment the exact significance that this particular occasion and event holds for the Astha of so many Hindus across the world. Like you said, hopefully in the future, this will be an example. The building of this temple, even though it's taken so many years, will be an example of how Hindus have fought
Right,
the dharmic
right.
fight to ensure that they get their Lord Ram back where he
Yeah.
belongs. So, thank you so much for that, Ankita. But I also want to know, since you are an expert on the Northeast, and basically your expertise lies in that region, um, the joy that Hindus in the other parts of India, especially in the northern belt, the Hindi heartland, feel is understandable. It is visible. How do the Northeasterners feel about this? How are they? Can you share some stories or whatever you know of how it's being received in that part of the country?
Rightly. Yeah, now before answering this question, for those in the audience, uh, the fact that the Ramayan Parampara of Northeast India is today almost on the verge of extinction because of several religious and socio-cultural factors. We need to accept that first. But just like any other state of Bharat, Sri Ram occupies his own place of cultural, religious, and spiritual importance in the lives of the people of the Northeast too, including the many different tribal groups and communities residing in different parts of this region. Their religious belief systems, their modes of worship of these tribals, they share a close resemblance with Hindu Dharma. So, this explains the cultural and spiritual significance of Ram and the Ramayana as a text, as an oral tradition in their lives. Also, when we see the overall storyline of the Ramayana, of many of these tribes, the Khasis, the Garos, that used to be popular among these people before the advent of Christianity. The story is very much the same as that of Valmiki Ramayana. The only difference being the names of the different characters, the names of the places, which have a local touch, a regional touch. And the Ramayana has always been an integral and an inseparable part of the socio-cultural lives of the people in the Northeast. But it is very, very unfortunate that these traditions are today almost extinct, especially in the predominantly Christian states of Mizoram, Nagaland, and Meghalaya. The current generation has no idea whatsoever of this rich civilizational legacy which their ancestors had struggled so hard to protect from the Islamic invaders and later from the aggressive proselytization of the church during the British period. Now, coming to your specific question, how are people in the Northeast celebrating the upcoming Pran Pratishtha ceremony of the Ram Temple? I would like to talk about a few important events which would give our audience a fair enough understanding of how people in the Purvottar region of Bharat too are equally gearing up to celebrate the historic day of 22nd January. Uh, at the behest of lower okay, at the behest of the Rabha Hasong Autonomous Council, uh, I was reading this news. More than 7,000 pieces of bamboo from the lower Langpi village of Assam's Boko town, which is situated along the Assam Meghalaya interstate border, and they have been sent completely free of cost all the way to Ayodhya to construct barricades and set up camps for the grand inaugural of the Sri Ram temple. But what makes this feat even more remarkable is that the saplings of the bamboo that have been sent to Ayodhya from Langpi town in Boko, they were initially planted by the specially able people of the All Assam Divyang Versatile Association from Kamrup district of Assam. And the bamboo that has been donated is of the variety that is traditionally being used for fencing and construction purposes in Assam because of its durability and strength. The government of Assam has already declared a dry day in the state to commemorate the consecration of the Ram temple on 22nd January. Also, many people, I would like to mention this here, many people might still not be aware of the fact that besides water and soil from the famous Kamakhya Shakti Peeth in Guwahati, water and soil from the Sintuxia River in Joai and the Maintu River from Nartiang village in West Jaintia Hills district of Meghalaya have gone into the building of the Grand Temple at Ayodhya. Meghalaya is not just home to a famous Shakti Peeth, but also it is one of the major centers of the Tantric Shakta Parampara in the rich Hindu civilizational legacy of Bharat. And this particular region of Meghalaya, about which I just mentioned, that is Joai and Nartiang villages, this is inhabited by the local Hindu Jaintia people who are even today staunch adherents of their traditional Nyamtre belief system. They worship Sri Ram as their household deity even today. And yes, abiding by the traditional religious rituals of Nyamtre, the water and the soil were collected by the Jaintia village chiefs during the Bhumi Pujan ceremony of the Ram temple way back in 2020 itself. So this is about Meghalaya. I remember in Tripura, the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, it has already organized a 15-day door-to-door Akshat Prasad distribution campaign ahead of the inauguration since the first week of January 2024. Their activists and ground-level workers have been visiting all the Hindu families and requesting them to join the Pran Pratishtha ceremony from their respective homes and temples. Even there are a few inaccessible villages of Tripura, such as this village, Bhagirath village, Bhagirath Para, which is located adjacent to the India Bangladesh international border. A Jan Sampark Abhiyan was conducted by activists of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad ahead of the Pran Pratishtha ceremony. Uh, Also, just a few days back, a huge procession was organized in Agartala by the Vivekananda Vichar Mancha to commemorate the upcoming inauguration. And it was a beautiful celebration which featured a tableau of Ram Leela enacting the life of Sri Ram with other participants portraying the roles of Ram, Sita, Lakshman and Hanuman. Also, all states of the Northeast, they have contributed in their own capacity towards the construction of the Sri Ram temple. In fact, this the Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Tirtha Kshetra Trust had earlier declared that Arunachal Pradesh has so far been the top contributor to the construction of the Ram Mandir from the northeast, followed by Manipur.
Oh,
Meghalaya, Nagaland, and Mizoram also have contributed.
beautiful. So this is amazing what you just told us, Ankita ji, because I don't think these facts would have come to light, and I don't think many people actually know. I'm not sure there are many people out there who are aware of these kind of connections that the Purvotter region has with the ancient civilizational, or just the Puranic stories of our land, and such an intimate connection with Ram, Sri Ram. So thank you for that. Shifting gears just a little bit, I was curious to get your response on, the recent controversy that happened with Maldives. You must be familiar with what happened, right? The unfortunate remarks that were made by a certain MP in one or two, actually not one, but I think several MPs in the country who made some remarks about our prime minister. And then there was also this anti-India sentiment that kind of took over. Of course, they've backed down now since then, but there was also a kind of a response by.
Right. Yes, it all began with the Honorable Prime Minister's visit to Lakshadweep. So, while talking about this beautiful place, Lakshadweep, what is the reality today there? Uh, it's almost 98% of the total population in Lakshadweep today is that of Sunni Muslims, and this itself can be a strategic trouble for us, right? If we do not take proper steps to deal with it, especially considering the fact of increasing Chinese influence over neighboring Maldives. Also, Lakshadweep is not very far from Kerala, another demographically sensitive state. And we do know about the questionable role of the church, the missionaries, in stalling various coastal and port development projects in the southern belt of India. Frequently, the Vizinjam port controversy being one of the latest. So, this entire region and its safety, its security is extremely important for India's national security. And the honorable prime minister is trying to settle multiple problems in the area of foreign policy with his latest visit to Lakshadweep. I would say, it is a kind of projection of Lakshadweep as another equally beautiful tourist destination, which boasts of the same scenery, the same beaches as that of Maldives. I was reading today about in one of the news that the total gross domestic product of Maldives is around 6 billion, and out of the 6 billion, almost 60% is derived from tourism. So yes, so that is around 3 to 4 billion of the Maldivian economy is based on tourism, and the contribution of Indians in this has been estimated to be around 40%. We can understand this. The economic sustenance of Maldives is largely dependent on India, and not just tourism. If we go back into the past, India has been supporting Maldives in so many other ways, like for example by providing COVID vaccines, water supply. There was also the news of the installation of a desalination plant by the government of India in Maldives. So Maldivians are practically dependent upon India for their basic daily sustenance, for health, food, water, economic activities. So if Maldives takes this into account and Chinese ingression into Maldives is checked, our energy lines will be secure, most importantly. Also, if tourism in Lakshadweep is developed, it will, in a way, crush the missionary narrative that coastal development or port development should not take place. And surely, the development of Lakshadweep as a tourist hub will benefit Kerala, of course. And domestically, also, if we see, PM Modi has proven himself again as a strong politician through this latest visit to Lakshadweep. That no, Bharat is just not going to bow down in front of just anyone. And definitely, this is a good move by the Prime Minister, which has increased his influence and popularity further. As we see in the aftermath of his visit, the consequent consternation, as you mentioned, that is happening in Maldives and subsequently followed in India by the latest Twitter hashtags of boycott Maldives. There has been so many cancellation of Maldivian hotels, flight bookings have been cancelled. So, it shows that the common man in India, at least on social media, rallies behind Narendra Modi. And also, the Bollywood is coming out now. The Bollywood stars promoting Lakshadweep after this, because they know that in the age of social media, something which is being discussed in social media will always remain in the minds of the people. And PM Modi knows it. He has a strong hold on the Indian population, someone who will rally people behind him on every issue. So it bodes well for the upcoming general elections as well for the BJP. And if the PM himself is showing that, yes, I'm the one, the leader, both nationally and internationally, it also kind of questions the motives of his political opponents at this time for starting the Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra. And this is also a very good strategy to counter global Islamic fundamentalism, especially countries which promote terrorism. Because if any time Maldives becomes a puppet of the Chinese, its after effects can not just percolate down to Muslim majority Lakshadweep, but Kerala as well, having serious security
Also a sizable
implications.
Muslim population. Kerala
Right.
also has, yeah. Yes. Let's come back to the area of your expertise, which is Purvatar again. I mentioned my opening remarks that the peace accords were signed. So let's start with Manipur and the
Hmm.
tripartite agreement or peace accord that happened between the UNLF, which is a separatist group, the state government of Manipur, and the center. Can you throw some light on this and how
Yes.
are we as Indians supposed to receive this?
Yeah, it's a very pertinent question. This peace agreement with the UNLF was signed on the 1st of December last month, that is 2023, by the center and the state government of Manipur with the United National Liberation Front, UNLF. And UNLF is the oldest militant outfit of Manipur. And this is a historic milestone indeed. And the state government of Manipur even hosted a reception program for the members and cadres of the UNLF at Imphale's historic Kangla Fort complex. If we recall, the UNLF was formed in November 1964 under the leadership of Arambam Samarendra Singh as the General Secretary, and it was ideologically opposed to the merger of Manipur with the Union of India in 1949. So basically, it aimed at restoring the state's so called independence and sovereignty from India. And the recent peace pact with the UNLF is certainly one of the biggest achievements for conflict on Manipur. Uh, because insurgency has always been a formidable challenge to the government, especially in Manipur and Nagaland in the northeast, calling for effective counterinsurgency measures from time to time to defeat the insurgents. And insurgency and secessionism have worked in tandem in the northeast by first psychologically distancing and then separating the people away from their own kinsmen in their own country. Yes, and as a result, the Northeast's inseparable and indispensable connection with the philosophical and spiritual heritage of Bharat and as well as Bharatiya Itihas was broken off in due course of time. So it is in this context to realize PM Modi's dream of ushering in peace and prosperity in the Northeast that the peace pact with the UNLF assumes a lot of significance, especially because of the fact that it comes as a severe blow to Pakistan and China, who had once supported and funded these terrorists heavily. And peace in Manipur is extremely vital at this point of time because Manipur is the main gateway to Southeast Asia. So, any kind of economic and infrastructural development in the Northeast, it largely depends upon Manipur, upon a peaceful Manipur.
Right, right, right. So what's right now? What is happening in? So we know of what happened a few months ago last year. The state was in a is was in a state of, I mean, it was in a state of turmoil and there was violence everywhere. What is happening right now in Manipur and Myanmar, which is the neighboring country?
Hmm.
There is this kind of like a civil war like situation which is brewing there. So, does it have any impact right now on Manipur as well?
Truly, yes, because the current situation in Myanmar is extremely delicate and it does not bode very well for Manipur and Mizoram in particular, both these states. But of course, it's not good for the entire Northeast in general. Uh, After the rapid outbreak of fighting between the military junta of Myanmar and the anti junta forces, this began in November 2023, mid November. Now, here I would like to mention about a few important developments that hold strategic significance for India and Manipur from the point of geopolitics and national security. Now, in Myanmar, there are several resistance groups who are fighting the military junta. There is one, the Three Brotherhood Alliance. So this group, this resistance group, with the support of other smaller groups, has taken control of several key trade routes to China, including Kunlong town. And this town is the site for a proposed railway link with China. Uh, the fall of Lokai. This is another town in Myanmar, and it happens to be the capital of Myanmar's restive Kokang region. The fall of Lokai recently in a sweeping offensive by the Three Brotherhood Alliance, about which I just mentioned, has become the most significant threat to the military junta. Why? Because Lokai is the capital of Myanmar's Kokang region, and Kokang is infamous for being the hub of online scam operations and gambling dens, which are run by the pro-military. They are run by the pro-military militia, and many of the victims of these cyber scam centers are common Chinese citizens. And Yes, and besides this, there is another resistance group who is fighting the Janta in Myanmar, the CNF, the Chin National Front. It has captured the town of Rikhaudar. Rikhaudar is the same town which is home to one of the two official border crossing points with India. Martial law has been declared in many towns of Shan, Chin, and Kachin states of Myanmar. Now, most important for India and the Northeast now is that thousands of refugees from Myanmar, including security personnel, have fled to nearby Mizoram. And the government of Mizoram, since the times of the earlier government under Zoramthanga, has been welcoming them since the beginning of the civil war in Myanmar in 2021. And they have been doing this on the ground that the Mizos and the Chin Cookies, they share common ethnic and cultural ties. In fact, recently, just a few days back, the YMA, that is the Young Mizo Association, it is a Christian association, the central committee of the Young Mizo Association, and this is the largest civil society organization in Mizoram. It had clearly said that it is opposed to any move to fence the Indo Myanmar international border. It had also, yes, and it was not just this, it had also opposed that it wouldn't let the scrapping of the existing FMR. FMR is the free movement regime along the international border by the center. And
So are you
this
saying
FMR,
FMR, sorry to interrupt, but are you saying the
no,
FMR actually allows people to from Myanmar to walk into Mizoram?
yes, yes. It was introduced in the 1960s, in 1968, and yes, it allows people living on both sides of the international border to travel uh, within 16 kilometer. Yes, 16 kilometer into each other's territory without a visa. And this
Oh my.
FMR regime, yes, this FMR regime has been playing a crucial role in facilitating this the in-migration of these people. And
Right.
Mizoram claims that this helps in maintaining the cultural bonds of the ethnic Mizo tribes living on other side of the border. But when we look into the situation of Manipur Chief Minister Biren Singh had said this several times, and he had also urged the Ministry of Home Affairs to cancel this FMR regime along the Indo Myanmar border and complete the process of its fencing as soon as possible. And he had also attributed the ongoing violence in the state to the FMR and said that he had said that the fencing of this border is required immediately because drug lords and miscreants from Myanmar, they were involved in the violence and as well as several cross border crimes. So this is the situation, but I think a positive development amidst all of these is that the ongoing crisis in Myanmar is putting severe pressure on the insurgent outfits of Northeast India, taking shelter there. So they are forced to either join the conflict or leave the country immediately. And the signing of the recent peace pact by Manipur's UNLF, which had previously operated from bases inside Myanmar's Sagaing region, can be understood in this context. And India's Myanmar policy is of significant geopolitical and strategic importance because, especially taking into account China's eyes over Myanmar and its secret plans to convert it somehow into one of its satellite states. And since Myanmar is the only Southeast Asian country that shares a land border with Northeast India, it is geopolitically very important for India. Very, very important. Yes, it stands right at the center of the India Southeast Asia geography. And PM Modi has also mentioned this several times that Myanmar is the country that sits at the intersection of India's Act East policy, the neighborhood first policy. So Myanmar is the key player to the pursuance of India's regional diplomacy in the Indo-Pacific region. Also, I would like to make one last point here. India uh, should seriously engage with the ethnic armed organizations and other rebel groups in the Chin state, Sagaing region, and Rakhine state as well, because many of our vital infrastructure and connectivity projects, which are important for the Northeast, such as the KMTT project, the Kaladan Kaladan multimodal transit and transport project pass through these regions. And the military junta is hugely unpopular in Myanmar, even among the Bamars. The Bamars are the ruling majority ethnic group there. So, if the armed resistance groups that control these regions are hostile towards India and do not have a working relationship with the Indian government, it would then lead to serious problems.
Some very good points, Ankita ji. I think, especially the danger that Myanmar poses for most of these states in the northeast. I think that cannot be
Right.
overstated. And we have a history of the attacks that happened by Burma, right, across the state, across in Manipur, for example. There's a history of
Yes.
that. So I do hope that, but with the recent peace accord that has happened, hopefully the FMR will also be scrapped in the future at some point. Let's hope for
Very
better days to
important to
come.
scrap the FMR, actually. Yes.
Connected with that is also the issue of, coming to the Kuki and Meitei conflict and cookies. There's this demand for the cookies being delisted. I believe they're listed as a scheduled tribe when most of them are
Yeah.
actually Christian converts, but they're still listed as scheduled tribes. So there is a demand, I believe, right, for their delisting as a scheduled tribe. Is that right?
Yes, yes. This is a significant development, and this could have far reaching consequences in the near future, especially on the stranglehold of the church in the Northeast. And the Manipur state government has been recently requested by the central government to examine one representation that was made by one Maheshwar Thaunajong, a Maiti, seeking the deletion of the nomadic Chin Kuki from the list of scheduled tribes in Manipur. And this is, in fact, the first representation where a case is being made that the Maitis of Manipur be accorded the scheduled tribe status by excluding the Kuki and the Zomi tribes from the list on the ground that they are not indigenous to the land. And the representation has also claimed that the addition of any Mizo or Lushai tribes, Zo, and any Kuki tribes in Manipur's scheduled tribe list over the years is objectionable. Why? Because they do not specify any names of a specific tribe. So it's just like any Mizo tribes, any Kuki tribes we find in the ST list of Manipur. So this is a discrepancy which has left enough space, enough room for enrollment in the ST list of people disguised as cookies, whether they are refugees or illegal immigrants from foreign countries and other states who are not citizens of Manipur by birth. So this has been majorly responsible behind the problem of illegal immigration into Manipur from Myanmar, assuming very serious proportions in the recent times, and refugees from
May I
not
just
just
uh,
Myanmar.
may
Yes.
I interject just a minute? So this issue that we're talking is about, or the demand that is made by this, or case that was filed by this gentleman, was for the delisting of cookies as a scheduled tribe. The violence that broke out. The violence that broke out in May of last year was over the demand for the Meiteis being included as a scheduled tribe. Am I right? Or isn't that what happened?
Okay, yeah. So the demand for the delisting of the Kuki tribes from the from the ST list in Manipur has a lot to do with the problem of illegal immigration into Manipur. There was an incident in October 2021, and this had brought to light the magnitude of the problem, the gravity of the situation, when 28 nationals from Myanmar were arrested with fake Aadhaar cards in Manipur's Tengnopal district. And incidents such as these, if we look into, they have become quite commonplace in Manipur over the past several years. In 2015, there was an incident when the Manipur police had arrested several people in connection with in connection with a fake Aadhaar card manufacturing racket, which was operating from the border town of More, and another one was operating from Jiribam in Manipur. And most of these, I think 10 people were arrested, and out of these 10, 9 of these arrested people were later found to be illegal immigrants from Myanmar. And taking a serious note of the situation, Manipur Chief Minister and Biren Singh had announced that a special checkpost would be opened at the Imphal airport to detect illegal immigrants. Last year also, in September, no, prior to that, in September 2022, three persons from different regions of Myanmar, Kalemyo, Sagaing, etc., were caught carrying fake Aadhaar cards at a village in Kakching district of Manipur. And security personnel still continue to arrest more illegal immigrants almost every day carrying fake Aadhaar cards in the state. So, this is a huge problem, illegal immigration from Myanmar, which poses a significant threat for the security of Manipur. And also strain on limited resources and socio-political tensions arising from demographic changes. So delisting of the cookies in Manipur would hugely benefit the Meiteis, not just the Meiteis but also the Nagas, because the ancestral lands of the Nagas in districts like Churachandpur and Kangpokpi have been systematically occupied by these nomadic cookies since the 1960s and the 1970s, forcing them out eventually from their own lands and homes. And this delisting demand is gaining steam in Tripura as well. And hoping to get a good response in Assam, Arunachal, and Sikkim as well.
Um, what about the peace accord? So, a similar peace accord was also signed by the ULFA center, the government, central government, as well as the government of Assam. Am I right? Can you talk a little bit about
Yes,
this peace accord as well?
yes. The center and the government of Assam had signed this MOS, Memorandum of Settlement, with the pro-talks faction of the ULFA, that is the United Liberation Front of Assam. This happened last year on the 29th of December in Delhi. And
Right.
soon after the government of Assam soon after the signing of this MOS, the Assam government under Chief Minister Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma took a significant step by withdrawing the security forces from the residence of the CNC, that is the Commander in Chief of the Ulfa Independent, Paresh Barua, in Chabua town of Dibrugarh district. And this is indeed a momentous development for a peaceful Assam. The tripartite peace agreement with the ULFA, it marks the end of a decades-long insurgency in Assam. And if we recall, this insurgency began soon after the formation of the ULFA as a protest movement against the problem of illegal immigration from Bangladesh. The fall of the AGP, that is the Akhom Gana Parishad, from power, it was marked by the simultaneous rise of the ULFA. And the ULFA was such that at that time it appealed to the raw sentiments of the Assamese people. It appealed to the emotions of the people with respect to the issue of infiltration. But it soon transformed itself into an armed militant outfit that sought the separation of Assam from the Union of India. And there was eventually a concerted attempt in the academia to give a leftist orientation to the Assamese nationalist sentiments that were emotionally intertwined with the issue of immigration. Yeah, in fact, I remember in 1992, the ULFA had brought out a publication which was addressed to the East Bengal migrants. And in this publication, the ULFA had identified not just the Indian state, but Indians as the real enemy. Now, who are these Indians? This hate campaign against the Indians was mainly directed against the Hindi speakers from the northern belt of India. And this was one of the major reasons which resulted in a number of targeted killings of poor migrants from UP and Bihar and all these places in Assam. And this brand of militant nationalism of the ULFA was one of the major reasons for which it lost all the sympathy and popularity that it used to enjoy in its earlier days. I remember when the 15th of August was about enjoyment and celebration in the rest of India, we, the people of Assam, were confined to the four corridors of our homes because of these 48-hour long Assam Bands declared by the ULFA. And it was a day of complete boycott of all pro India activities by all groups and organizations. But immediately after coming to power in May 2021, Chief Minister Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma himself had taken several proactive measures. He made a call to the Ulfa Independent to come forward and engage in talks with the government, and the organization too reciprocated the CM's call. So soon after, a unilateral ceasefire was declared for a period of 3 months initially, and this was later extended by another 3 months. So the recent peace agreement is indeed, it is a much needed positive gesture and welcome development on the part of the government that has definitely raised our hopes for a credible solution to the insurgency in Assam. We don't want those
Yes.
days back again.
I know,
Never.
certainly. Also, on a positive note, to end this, what has been an absolutely informative conversation with you as always, Ankita ji, I believe that among the many, many positive measures that have been taken by Himanta Biswas ji in Assam, on the occasion of Sankranti, what do they call it in Assam? There's a the
It is called Bhogali Bihu.
Bihu, yeah, Bohogari Bihu.
Yeah,
So
Bhogali
I believe
because it is about harvest. It is about eating the
harvest.
new rice.
Yes.
Yes,
So I believe there's a tradition of bulbuli where bulbul fights used to be organized traditionally as a sport in the state. Like we had many other similar sports in different parts of the country, like Jallikattu. So I believe if you go back in time, there was in 2015, I believe it was banned. There was a ban imposed on this sport
right.
as it was
Yes.
tried, as similar bans were imposed in different parts of the country. And Himanta ji actually lifted the ban recently. So, can you talk a little bit about this sport and what it means for the people of Assam so we can end this conversation on a positive note and
Right.
wish everyone a happy Bihu?
This is something which is so close to my heart. This entire event and, of course, the festival. And as you mentioned, yes, after a gap of 9 years, due to restrictions imposed in 2015, after 9 years, preparations are underway in Assam to revive the centuries old traditional buffalo fight and the bulbul bird fights. We call it Bulbuli Sarai Juj in Assamese during the upcoming Bhogali Bihu festival, which coincides with Sankranti, Makar Sankranti, and the buffalo fights. They have been an integral part of the culture and tradition of several places such as Ahodguri in Morigaon district and also a few other places of Nagaon district and Sibsagar district of Assam for centuries. And although it is believed that the event was organized formally during the Ahom rule, but since most of these records unfortunately are not digitized or they are not even written down, so it's quite difficult to say about when they originated exactly. But I'm sure there will definitely be a story associated with these traditional events much before the Ahom dynasty, especially under earlier kingdoms such as the Khens. Because if we see historically, the Ahom rule had been negligible in lower Assam, that is the region on the northern bank of the Brahmaputra. And moreover, these things do not always start randomly, right? There has to be a precursor. Yeah, and also it somehow gives people from outside of Assam in the northeast that everything began with the Ahom period. So
Exactly.
ha,
True.
that as if nothing existed prior to
Nothing
the
happened
Ahom rule.
before
So,
that.
this is a wrong impression of the history of Assam. But anyways, that's a different debate altogether. We can discuss about that sometimes later. But Magh Bihu, sorry, Bhogali Bihu in Assam, we also call it Magh Bihu, especially Lower Assam, that is the region on the north bank of the Brahmaputra, the districts of Borpeta, Dhubri, Gwalpara, Kamrup rural. So for them, for the people of Lower Assam, Bhogali Bihu is always incomplete without both these events, the Bulbuli bird fight and the buffalo fights. And for those who might not be aware of this, in January 2015, uh, an order had been issued by the then government of Assam prohibiting these bulbul bird fights. But this was challenged immediately by the temple committee of the historic Haigrave Madhav temple at Hajo. Hajo is a small town which is situated not very far from Guwahati, around 45 to 50 kilometers, and where these events are held. The Guwahati High Court had then ruled in favor of the temple committee. So these fights were allowed to continue as per the court order. But the order was stayed later after a petition was filed by the AWBI, the Animal Welfare Board of India. And this court order had triggered negative reactions in not just Hajo but across the state of Assam. Uh, the head priest of the temple, he had even resorted to an indefinite hunger strike immediately after the ruling. But thanks to the proactive initiative undertaken by the government of Assam this time, uh, mm, these events have been allowed. And historically speaking, the Bulbul bird fights are a part of the traditional religious practices at this temple, at the Sri Sri Haigrave Madhav temple in Hajo. It promotes unity and a sense of solidarity among the people, from what I have seen. And it is not just an event for entertainment for these people. It is a matter of emotion for them, for the local people, because it represents the continuity of a tradition. There is also a very uh, strong affection, a strong sense of affection and attachment for these little birds, especially from what I have observed among the people of Hajo and Morigaon. Over several hundreds of families, they are engaged in rearing the hatchlings of the bulbuls for the annual fight. They would bathe them every day, dry them, and feed them. And in this process, the birds become a part of the family for almost over a month's time. And as per tradition, and this is followed even today, the fights are held between the teams from two different villages in Hajo, Hunaritula and Bhoralitula, which included the seven tolls or wards of Hajo town. And the prestigious event, it first begins with a prayer to Vishnu, and the birds are well trained for the ritual well in advance, and there is no cruelty involved, since not a single bird is hurt in the training process. Because the wild birds, see, they are first captured in bamboo traps from the neighboring forests, and this begins in the months of September, October. After that, they are kept in an open space and not in cages, and the strings around their feet, they are tied loosely with a cotton thread, so that these bulbuls are in no way injured. Regular vigil is maintained by the trainers who train them for the event, and this plays an important role in making these birds good fighters. Another important aspect is that these birds are fed on a special bhog, which is first offered to Vishnu. And this bhog consists of bananas, some local herbs, and some seeds of medicinal plants, which are available only here in Assam and some states of the northeast. It also contains black pepper, cloves, a little amount of cinnamon. So this is the bhog which is prepared and fed to the birds regularly, so that they gain strength uh, to survive the onslaught during the game. And this particular bhog, it causes dryness of the mouth of the birds, and this was one of the reasons these activists found a way out to seek a ban on this event. And yes, it leads to a dryness of the mouth, and the birds may die if proper attention is not paid. Most important is they need to be fed with adequate quantity of water, and that is why they are given plenty of water to drink every day, especially on the day of the fight, because they are made to fight. So the meaning behind this ritual is that what the locals say, that in order to survive in this tough world, you have to fight it out. There is a person who monitors the fight, and he declares the winning bird. He is referred to as Masing in the local language, and the owner of the winning bird, the bird which wins, the winning bird is the one who persists the fight for, who can persist in the fight for long, and the owner is awarded with a trophy and some amount of cash. And yes, it is true that The birds do sustain injuries during the fight, but they are treated later through certain traditional herbal methods by their owners. Also, the place of the fight is well chosen. It is being surrounded by trees on all sides, so the birds are taken utmost care of by the local people, and they are also set free immediately after the fights are over. And
That's nice.
not just Hajo, yeah, these bulbul bird fights are extremely popular in many other places of Lower Assam's Kamrup district, and thousands of people gather to see the contest on the day of Bhogali Bihu. It is a sight to behold when hundreds of bulbuls they fight each other to clinch the winner's crown.
Title.
And yeah, it had also become a top tourist attraction in Hajo till it was banned, because several hundreds of tourists, both domestic and foreign, it thronged this temple. They came to this temple, Haigrave Madhav temple, every year to witness this unique event.
So yeah, that's. I mean, I think you. First of all, you brought it all alive for us, and secondly, the very important point that you made, because there are so many animal lovers out there who feel that perhaps these bans, although they're anti-Hindu in nature, they're probably justified because they're harmful to animals. They don't know that in most of these cases, like the example that you gave us of the bulbul fights, enough care is taken by these people to ensure that the birds don't come to any serious harm or injury, and and most importantly, they're not kept in captivity. They're in
Yeah,
fact released into nature. So
yeah,
well, that was really informative, Ankita ji. Thank you so much. And I want to wish you and your family and everybody in Purvottar, my brothers and sisters living there, a happy Bhogali Bihu. Did I get it right?
yeah, yes, yes. Correct.
Thank you, and
Yeah,
happy Bhogali
same to
Bihu.
you as well.
Uh, Thank you so much, and we'll have you again with us one of very soon, I'm sure, with some more information, and hopefully when we talk next, we'll have some more good news to share about the Northeast. And so, on that note, happy Sankranti, happy Bhogali Bihu, Lori, and Pongal to all the viewers who are watching us. And please share this content with your friends. Like, comment. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And please keep coming back to Chitti for more such talks. So, namaste and
Namaste.
Shubhratri.
Shubhratri. Thank you so much.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.